excuse me. I just thought I'd do a quick update. We'll talk about my weight and my diet and everything like that at a later date, but I thought I'd just keep you updated with what's happening. This is going to be a kind of COVID diary, I think. So I have had COVID. Eventually, after nearly 3 years, I caught it, as did my daughter a few days later. Not sure where I caught it from. Possibly work. There were a few people coughing at work. But I also went out to a coffee shop and sat in there on Saturday morning with a cup of coffee. And then on the Monday, I began to get kind of like a sore throat. Sunday night, I began to get a little bit of a sore throat. Had that on Monday morning, thought nothing of it, because, we all get sore throats, don't we? On and off. And then, by mid-morning, I was due to go into work in the afternoon. By mid-morning, I was feeling really shivery. I knew I felt much different than I have before when I felt a bit poorly, So definitely I felt quite fluey, very similar to that. And the back of my neck was aching and I began to feel a bit shivery. And I thought, do you know what? I've better do a lateral flow test before I go into work. Thinking nothing of it, because I've done several over the past couple of years and when I've had similar symptoms. But anyway, I think I knew it was COVID, but I did it, and the test line turned deep red before the control line. It was instantaneous. So obviously I knew I had COVID. So, like this. This is so cool, isn't it? I look like Mrs. Santa Claus. But anyway, it is nearly 3 weeks later. It'll be 3 weeks tomorrow later. I tested positive for 14 days. I definitely turned a corner at 7 days. The first 4 to 5 days were the worst. And then I slowly began to get better. And then, like I said, I turned a corner, I think, at 7 days. For me, as a morbidly obese person, although I had been boosted, I hadn't been boosted for 7 or 8 months, I thought, oh gosh, please don't let me get a cough. I mean, I've ended up in hospital in America with double pneumonia, and I never want to do that again. So that was what I was really, really worried about. But luckily, I wasn't impacted particularly bad at all with a cough. I was very, very lucky. Just a little bit of a dry cough, a little bit on my chest, but nothing much at all. The biggest thing for me was, for the first 2 days, I was spiking very, very high temperatures. At one stage, it was getting up to 40 degrees centigrade, just under 40 degrees centigrade. So it was regularly getting up to about 39.7, 38.7. Oh, it was going up and down. The shivers on the first 24 hours were awful. The temperature spikes over 2 days were awful. I had increasingly bad joint pains, which had got so painful by day 5, I was crying. And then that seemed to be the worst day, and after that it began to get better quite quickly, and within a few days later, by day 8, I would say nearly all the joint pains and aches had gone, and definitely day 5 was the worst. I felt really, really tired, especially for the first 3, 4, 5 days. I didn't lose my taste, but I had a weird, odd taste sensation where anything that was lemony or citrusy tasted like somebody had thrown a bag of salt over my food. So I went to try my very favourite hummus, and it felt like somebody had tipped an egg cup full of salt into it. It was that bad, and I had to put up with that for a few days. My daughter caught it a few days after me, and she lost her sense of smell and taste. She had more of a cough than me and more of a runny nose than me. I only had a little bit of that. My worst thing was my temperature, shivers, aches and pains, really severe joint pains. I lost my appetite for maybe about 5 days. I've made up for it since then. So my eating is back to normal, back to not being very much in control, but we'll talk about that at a later date. And yesterday I went out for the first time in nearly 3 weeks, and I met up with some friends, and it was really nice just to go out for a couple of hours and have a coffee. And then I went to see my parents today. So all in all, how do I think, how did I feel about getting COVID? I felt it could have been worse. I was a bit scared because because of my past ending up in hospital with double pneumonia. So I was a little bit scared, but in fact, in the end, it was less than I was expecting. The joint pain and the exhaustion and the temperatures were worse. I kind of wasn't really expecting that. I don't know why. So that hit me quite hard. But as for coughing and breathing, I was absolutely fine with that. I think for 2 days my saturation levels went down a little bit, especially at night, but still nowhere near where it would have been of concern. So it would be probably just how anybody else deals with a bit of a cough or a bit of a flu or something like that. So but anyway, I kept a very brief video diary for the first 3 or 4 days. I'm going to share it here. So for anybody that suffers with obesity, morbid obesity, or who is my age, so 56, nearly 57, you may want to just have a listen to my experiences. I know I certainly listen to lots of people's experiences, because I guess COVID catches up with all of us eventually. So yeah, after nearly 3 years it did in our household, but we're both okay. And I only had 1 day off work in the end because I was working from home anyway. I already had booked a couple of half days off. So but it was tough going. The first week. So I think if you're sort of, well, you can't go into work anyway with COVID. So, but yeah, I think my advice for anybody would be plenty of rest, plenty of cold water. Keep an eye on your temperature. Obviously, our body has to deal with that. That's how it kills off the bacteria. It kills off the virus by raising our temperature, so our body becomes inhospitable, so it doesn't keep on spreading throughout us and doesn't overwhelm us and overtake us. So actually getting a temperature is a good thing. But yeah, it does knock your socks off a bit. But I'm fine. I'm okay. And anyway, have a listen to my diary. See you soon. Bye. I actually honestly thought I was superhuman avoiding COVID. Oh my god, the C word. I'm alright. Just felt a bit off this morning, had sort of hot cheeks, joint aches and pains, and a mild sore throat. A bit shivery on my neck, but yeah. So sod's law was, though, I was due to go and get my booster, so I missed that. But yeah, apart from that, I'm feeling okay. Just a little bit icky, like you do when you're brewing a cold or a bit of flu or something, but no coughs at the moment. Well, that changed quickly. Another hour later, absolutely freezing, like wrapped in a blanket. Usually I get so hot with hormonal stuff, with the change, with the menopause, but absolutely feel so cold. Shivery. Shivers. Next to the radiator. I feel so cold, shivery. So I had really bad shivers, so bad in fact I had to put the put the radiators up full blast, and I had 2 or 3 layers of fleeces on, and I had to sit right next to the radiator because I was shivering really badly, and my temperature, I just felt really cold. So after a while of doing that, I began to feel quite hot. So I moved myself away, took the fleece off, and then did my temperature after a little while, and that was 38.5 on my forehead, 39.4 just on my neck here. So I've taken 2 paracetamol to bring down the temperature. I'm drinking lots of cold water, and I've taken my fleeces off. Yeah. Ooh. Can't actually believe that it's just day 2 of COVID. I tested positive on Monday, and it's Wednesday today. But I got out of bed late this afternoon after about a day and a half in bed, sleeping mostly, and do feel a lot better. I'm still sweating buckets when I move, but my temperature hasn't spiked today. Had a little bit of shivers this morning, but there's no temperature spikes. Yeah, I've just been sleeping loads. Fingers crossed, touch wood, I've only got a very mild cough just because my throat is dry. Everything is hunky-dory. Still got aches, joint aches and pains. That's, you know, especially my fingers and my knees and my legs. Still a bit of a dry sore throat, but nothing much, very mild to be honest. A bit of sniffles today, but if this is bad as it gets, I've been very lucky to be honest. I just feel tired really more than anything at the moment, and the mask, because obviously my daughter's inside, and so far she's tested negative, and because she does have quite severe health anxiety, I just really hope she doesn't get it. So we're doing our best. Excuse the dishevelled look. I've not brushed my hair for 2 days, and most of it's been in bed. I just meant to, can't remember what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, appetite. So it seems really weird since Monday afternoon, probably started about midday when I began to feel really off, and it's been weird to have the appetite of a normal person for 2 days. And I look how little I'm eating, but in fact that's probably what a normal person eats. So it's just brought home to me how little people actually need to eat in reality. Yeah, it just seems so bizarre. I'm literally having for breakfast, because I don't have much of an appetite, so I'm having a sandwich for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and then I'm probably going to have half a can of beans on toast with a bit of salad for my dinner. Well, literally that's probably what a normal person eats, whereas me would eat so much more than that and be constantly looking for food in between. But yeah, I just thought I'd add that. It just seems really bizarre to eat like a normal person for once. I just meant to add, when I say bizarre, a normal person, what I meant is just from my personal point of view. Now, I presume other people aren't fat because they don't have this constant obsession with food and looking forward to the next meal and really wanting food all the time. I haven't had that for 2 days, which is, pretty alien to me. It doesn't often happen. And I remember saying to an ex-partner once, actually, oh, don't worry. You'll know when I'm ill because I go off my food. And I said that rarely happens. And it's true. Yeah, I haven't been thinking about, what am I going to have next to eat? It's literally, I should eat something. I'll just go make a sandwich. That's the easiest thing to do. And I'll just because I've had a bit of nausea as well, you see. So haven't got nausea today, which is great, but still haven't got my appetite back. I meant to add this as well, and I hope nobody hates me for saying it, because I'm sure there's people who really want to have an appetite and don't struggle that way. So I do apologise. But for me personally, because of, I don't know, the last sort of 25 years, just it's overtaken my life and added to morbid obesity. I wish I had more days where I didn't have an appetite, or I didn't have that feeling for wanting to fill my face all the time. So it might feel bizarre and odd and alien to me right now, but quite honestly, I wish I had more days of that, because I think if my life was tempered more with those feelings, I think I may be a healthier weight. It would definitely help me become healthier and be mindful of the food I'm putting in my face, because I don't know, I just think it would. That's a really odd thing to say, I know, but it's just a thought I just had now. So I'm sitting down and I've got beans on toast, and I don't actually want to eat it. I'm not that hungry, but I am going to, because it's important to have a little bit of nutrition throughout the day when you're trying to heal. So I thought I felt a bit better yesterday. This morning, I've just woken up, it's the middle of the night, I haven't been able to sleep. And because of my joint pain, my knees are so painful. I just feel very tearful, which is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I just wanted to put on record how it's affecting my joints, especially my knees tonight. It's just really, really painful. I just had an amazing time meeting up with old friends, most of whom I hadn't seen probably in about a year, and we had a lovely time catching up. It really perked me up. The only issue I had was when I came to walk home, and because of the weight I put on, I jumped on the scales this morning. I was about 290. Like my spine was killing. After I'd walked about a quarter of a mile, I suddenly got that awful compression pain that I used to have when I was heavier. So I've got to drastically make changes. And there's no two ways about it. That's it. I feel down about that. But it was the first time I've been out in weeks. I had such a lovely time for a couple of hours in a local coffee shop. I feel all warm and fuzzy, despite the weight issues, despite my struggles, despite still feeling a bit after COVID. I actually feel really happy today. I feel really good.